Well, well, well. It looks like the first firmware update for the Onewheel GT has finally landed. Hey guys, Steve Ginter here, and I'm pretty excited because today, Future Motion decided to finally update the Onewheel GT with something we've all been asking for. So let's just dive into what we got in the notes. All right, so from what I'm reading, here's what they fixed. Pushback is more subtle. Awesome. I'm already hearing reports of people hitting higher speeds than they've been able to before because they can push through pushback just like on an XR. The other fix is flow, one of the ride modes of the Onewheel GT, has been fixed. I think before it had a 16 or 17 mile per hour pushback, even though it's supposed to be at 20. It is now at 20. People are saying it feels really flowy and much buttery and is more to the preferred ride mode on the XR, which was Mission. So if you like Mission on XR, maybe give Flow a try. There is now an additional beep sound that happens when you are hitting pushback. So previously, if you had hit a high torque on the motor, whether it's from a standstill or if you're accelerating up a hill, there was a beep. Now there's a continuous beep if you are hitting pushback, but if that gets annoying, no problem, you could turn it off in the app. Another thing that they're saying that they fixed was some updates to the sensor on the front foot pad. Not exactly sure what they did there. Maybe they decreased the sensitivity, but it's supposed to help with the ghosting issue that a lot of people are having, where their board takes off even though they've dismounted the board. And yeah, hopefully that does something, because that is one of the most dangerous issues with the Onewheel GT. Let's see what else we got. Other people are saying that now that the pushback's not as aggressive, they're getting less tail drag when they're doing bonks or drops, and even when they're going down hills, which for me, that was one of the scary things when I'm out on the trails. If I need to go down a hill and it just forces me to get up to speed really fast, the tail would drag. I would lose control because the tail hits a rock or a bump or something, and then I turn one way or the other that I'm not ready for. So less tail drag is gonna be nice. All right, so it looks like in order to get the update to your board, first you need to update the app on your phone. Once that's updated, connect the board to your phone. You should get a prompt letting you know there's a firmware update, and it's supposed to take around 10 minutes. Just make sure you leave your phone near your Onewheel GT because it is transferring data from your phone to the board, and you don't want to get too far away and break that connection in the middle of it because it could break your board, which would not be good. So just put your phone down when you're doing the update. Cool. All right, well, I'm excited to give it a spin, but also I need to mention something. A company reached out, offered to send me a gimbal for free to test out. I'm not gonna go too into details on it because I'm not a big gimbal guy and this is not my camera channel. If you like camera stuff, I do have another channel that I sometimes upload to that talks about camera stuff. Anyways, here it is. There's a company called Hohem reached out, sent me this little guy. It's a phone gimbal. They're not paying me to say anything about it. They're not even controlling what I say in this video. So all my opinions that I say here are of my own true thoughts. And I'll be blunt with you. I don't really like gimbals. I don't really use them. I bought one once. I hated setting it up and balancing it. It was just another thing that got in the way when I was just wanting to record some footage. If you've seen any of my riding videos, you'll know that I prefer to use this camera. This is the Insta360 1X2. As the name implies, it is a 360 camera and it just records all around it, up, down, left, right, behind it, in front of it. That just lets me hit record, hold it out on the selfie stick. It stitches out the stick, and later on I can choose what part of the view I want to share in my riding videos. And because it's recording in all directions at all times, it can stabilize the footage for me, so it doesn't need a gimbal, which makes it really, really handy. But, and there is a but one thing that might give this an edge is the phone that goes in it. As you know, iPhones these days, they take some pretty dang amazing video. Their HDR capabilities give you great dynamic range, and highlights, and in the shadows. And I think that they do better in low light. Most action cameras, including 360 cameras, they kind of suck when the lights get dim. You're trying to make a riding video at night, it gets grainy. So, you know what? I'm gonna try using my phone and this gimbal to record a riding montage for you guys while I test out this new firmware. So hopefully that goes well. Enjoy the riding montage. and I'll catch up with you guys afterwards, give you my thoughts on this funky thing, and give you some more thoughts on the Onewheel GT firmware update. All right, see you in a bit. Yo, no way, this thing can do face tracking? All right, that is pretty cool for a gimbal. I guess that might be useful. All right, so it's been a little over a week since Future Motion dropped the first firmware update for the Onewheel GT. And from my own account and from what everyone else is saying online,
it's awesome sauce.
The pushback is way more subtle now. It's similar to how the XR's is, which means you can push past it comfortably. And I've hit a higher top speed than I've ever hit, and I don't go that fast, but other people online have hit 25, 29, I think even 32 miles per hour, which is ridiculous, but if you wanted to do that, you can. Just make sure you wear your helmet, kids. And the other thing that they addressed was the front sensor foot pad, supposedly no more ghosting, which is pretty cool because they were sending out replacement foot pads, but it seems like they must have found something that they can do in software, probably tune down the sensitivity of the foot pad, and also enact some kind of braking system as soon as it detects some kind of release of the foot off the foot pad. Not exactly sure, they didn't say specifics, but that's what most people are noticing. The other thing is the tail slaps or the tail drag when going downhill. Supposedly that's let off a little bit too, so that's great because that was one of my biggest issues is every time I went down a steep hill, the tail would drag, and now it's way better. And I bet you're asking, why is there a Onewheel XR here and not the Onewheel GT? Well, if I'm being honest, I had another problem with my Onewheel GT. I don't think it's a widespread problem because I haven't seen anyone else really mentioning it or complaining about it, but I had a weird clicking sound coming from my hub. The faster I go, the louder it gets. I checked everything. I took the fender off, I took the foot pads, I took the bumpers off, I took off the valve stem cap, tested it out. It's somewhere inside the hub. I think it is just the bearings because with previous boards, people have had a similar sounding issue, and that's all they had to do was get their bearings replaced. Since I still have warranty, I figured, hey, Future Motion, can you take a look at this? They sent me a prepaid label, and they're looking at it now. So hopefully I have it back soon, because that new firmware was great, and I want to go back to writing that. Not that I don't love my Onewheel XR still. I do have the Float Life Enduro tire coming for it, so it's still getting some love. All right, so I'm also making this video about a gimbal. So let's go over some of the pros. One, it's very compact and very light. If you were to take this bottom piece off, it can almost fit in your pocket unless you wear skinny jeans. It's not too big of a burden to carry with you if you already have a backpack, so I do like that. It also acts kind of like a selfie stick in that you can use it to hold your phone for you while you're recording other people or recording yourself. So it is a great phone holding recording device. The stabilization on it is actually really good. It keeps your camera or your phone level while you move the base. So if you're writing and you're trying to juggle the terrain that you're on while you're recording, your horizon will stay level and your footage shouldn't look shaky at all. The price is not bad. I think it's around 80 bucks for this version. Yeah, that's not bad for a small gimbal like this. And the other thing I really like about the gimbal is that face tracking capability. It can also do object tracking. You actually just draw a box over what you want it to track and it will try and follow it. I didn't have as much success with that, maybe because it's harder to see with the Onewheel as it's moving around between all the different objects that's passing by. But in a slower type use recording, I think it would work fine. Now let's talk about the cons. It's another thing that you have to charge and you have to carry. I know I said it's small and it's light, so carrying it, depending on how much stuff you carry, isn't too big of a deal. But if you're like me, I carry around extra camera gear, and this is just another thing in the bag weighing me down. While I can record other people really easily and smooth with this gimbal, trying to record myself riding, it's not gonna really work out. I mean, I can hold it out in front of me and turn the gimbal around and record myself, but if I'm trying to show that I'm riding a Onewheel or any other PEV, it's just not gonna happen. It can't handle too many sudden jerky movements. If you really like whip it around, if someone's whizzing past you or you're trying to get a shot really quick, the motors aren't strong enough to really handle really fast jerky movements compared to some more expensive gimbals, especially like the ones for bigger cameras. I'm not a gimbal expert. I just noticed that that was a limitation of this guy. One of the things I was hoping to be able to do with this gimbal was use it inverted, basically upside down, and record some low angle footage while using the tracking feature in the software. But for whatever reason, when it's inverted, the software didn't track properly. So the main thing that it seemed to do was think that up was down and down was up, assumedly because it is upside down. It didn't know that the phone was upside down, and so when it tried to track something moving lower, it panned the camera upward and it would just completely lose track of the subject. If you're using it right side up though, it's much better. It's just harder to ride and stay super low to the ground to get those low angle shots. And the last big con for me is that if I'm using this with my cell phone and I get into a wreck, I could destroy not only the gimbal, but my phone. And my phone is way more expensive than my 360 camera, which I've also crashed and wrecked before in one of my previous videos. It's a liability for me to use my phone in here while riding. So do I plan to use this gimbal more often over my Insta360? Probably not. The Insta360 One X2 just makes it easier for me to ride and record. I've mentioned it before. It records in all directions. It keeps everything level. It automatically stabilizes everything for me. And it's not my phone. Therefore, if I do fall, hopefully this glass protector will protect the lens this time, but it's a cheaper replacement regardless. On top of all that, even if I was to use just my phone, the stabilization in both phones these days and on like the GoPros and other action cameras, it's really good. And if you're recording while on a Onewheel, well, the Onewheel is already like recording while on a dolly. So you get sideways movement tracking that's really smooth, plus you get the stabilization of the phones or the action cameras or the 360 cameras. And I feel like this really isn't necessary, at least for the kind of videos that I would make. If I do use this guy, it'll be very situational. There's definitely some cool movements you can use this for, like if you wanted to go from down low and bring it all the way up, or to do some kind of revert, pullback, reveal. It has its use cases, and especially that tracking feature, I think that is really cool. So say you just use your phone to make your videos and you want to add some dynamic movement to your shot. You can use that face tracking capability of this, put your phone in it, and walk around and still talk to the camera and show off your surroundings. That is definitely something that I think would be cool. Alrighty, that's Ginter for now. If you are interested in this gimbal from Hohem, I think I'm saying that right. If you're interested in this gimbal, I'll leave a link down in the description below as usual. And I'm curious on what your thoughts are with the Onewheel GT firmware update, because a lot of people are saying that it's a game changer. I just think it is what it should have been from the start. But you know what? I'm gonna take what I can get. Hopefully I get my GT back soon. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you know how that goes. And also, you know, if you want to see more Onewheel content and other Onewheel ride videos, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later. Hey Mikey, you wanna play around with this gimbal?
Why'd you say something? Of course I want to go check that thing out.
Yeah man, it's all yours.
Oh yeah, let's go check this little thing out. Ooh, what's that? Comes with a remote? Heck yeah, I love remotes. Yeah, give me this box too. Get my copy. All right, let's see how this thing works. Wait, it's looking at me. If I go up, down, all around, I can now show off my dance moves to the TV. Yeah, yeah. Ho ho. You sure you don't want this thing? This is pretty sweet. Yep, I'm over here getting the mic dance moves down. Yeah. Woo. Dancing with my Onewheel. Oh yeah.